we're having conversations with people. And like, if you have those implicit biases that sex work is not work, that you need to save your patient so that you can help their pelvic pain, and maybe this is the root of it. Like, you need to really analyze those implicit biases and like see where that's coming from.
Like, if someone is a construction worker and they injure their shoulders and they need to be able to like rehab their shoulders to lift heavy things to do their job, you're gonna be like, okay, let's fix your shoulders so you can do your job. Someone comes in with pelvic pain because they're a sex worker and they're like, well, I'm a full service sex worker and pelvic pain is inhibiting my ability to do my job. Like, we treat the pelvic pain so they can do their job.
You're listening to The Pelvic Freak Show
with your hosts, Amanda Neary and Hannah Meyer. Hey, Pelvic Freaks. Welcome back to another episode of The Pelvic Freak Show.
where you're freaks for us and we're freaks for your pelvis, baby.
And welcome, Roxxie, again to The Pelvic Freak Show.
Thanks for having me back.
Of course, we are always happy to have you.
Guys, if you haven't tuned into our previous episode from last week, go listen to that right now before you listen to this episode, because there's a lot of important topics that we covered that we want you to hear before jumping into this episode, okay?
Guys, we are talking about sex work. So in that episode last week, we talked about what sex work is, what makes it work, and who falls under that umbrella. And then we talked about some stigmas that come up, like erotophobia, whorephobia. Today, before we get into the healthcare side of it, my follow-up question to last week's episode is, what does a day in the life look like? Like, what's a shift at the club look like? What are the mundane things? What are the funny things that come up? And what are the realities of that?
Yeah, day in the life. I feel like two answers to this question. A day in the life of being a sex worker for me is like, I have time. I have different hours than most people, and I make money differently than most people, so I use my time differently than most people. So I think a relatable experience for a lot of sex workers, like outside of the club, is like, this morning I woke up, I went to my other job that is some form of like activism, usually like teaching pole, teaching Pilates, being a nurse, being some sort of like provider, usually pink collar type worker. We talked, I don't know if we talked about that in the episode or just offline, but pink collar worker, like service provider type job, or whatever it is you do with your day and whatever it is you're using sex work to facilitate. Because a lot of people are not just working at the club to work at the club. I mean, a lot of people are. It is a job. But some people are like, I am using this as a springboard to something else. So usually daytime is spent kind of like sleeping, recovering, using that time for whatever it is you're working on. Then I left that job and I went to the pole dance studio and I picked up donations from a food drive that we did. And then I took them to a bar in Logan Square that was collecting those food drive donations. It's a lesbian bar called Babes. If you're in Chicago, go.
Why haven't I heard of this bar?
It's new.
The physical
bar.
reaction.
Sports bar.
That's why you haven't heard of it. Amanda hates sports.
Yeah. But we need more lesbian bars.
You know
Let's
what?
be
Yeah.
real.
No, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah.
And if it's women's sports that they're playing,
They
that's
are.
still better.
Correct.
I
Period.
think I mentioned to you this. What? I think I mentioned this to you on an episode that they're like creating specifically sports bars that only play women's sports.
Yeah. I didn't know it was a lesbian bar.
I didn't know that either. So hey.
Again, I've just been talking so much about how we need like less gay bars, more queer bars. Like I need more queer spaces.
Yeah.
So Babes, highly recommend. Absolutely go there. But dropped off donations there and then came here to do this with y'all. So that's kind of like the day in the life of a sex worker is usually like, what am I doing outside of the club for, you know, either myself or for my community. I know that that's probably a relatable experience for people like the leaders of the Black Stripper Brigade. Like I know that most of their life is activism, whether it's like taking people to Broadview for protests on Fridays or like Healing and Movement, the sex worker who's like in charge of that organization. Like I know that a lot of their days spent doing this like kind of other non-sex work stuff that they would not have the opportunity to do if they had like a 9-to-5.
Yeah, wait, tell us about the Black Stripper Brigade.
I love Black Stripper Brigade.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with them. They produce like shows, events, like all kinds of cool stuff.
In Chicago?
Yes, in Chicago. They're just advocates for Black strippers, and they are true grassroots community organizers, like doing stuff that their community needs, getting people involved in activism, getting people into pole class, providing sliding scale services, just like teaching their art to the people and then like creating safe space for the people. So yeah, Black Stripper Brigade, also Pink Portal Studios. So Ava, who's the head like bad bitch in charge of Black Stripper Brigade, is also one of the co-founders and owners of Pink Portal Studio. So it's another pole studio in Little Village. Little Village has been deeply affected and impacted by ICE's presence. So support Pink Portal, support Black Stripper Brigade, because they are doing a lot of the boots on the ground effort to help people who have been affected by all of the things. So yeah,
Period.
love them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Healing and Movement, the person who runs that organization, which is like using movement and like stripper style movement specifically to help, you know, domestic violence survivors, people who have just like struggled with different traumas in their life. Newer organization, really, really beautiful work there, is also an instructor at Pink Portal. So yeah, solid organizations, solid,
Absolutely.
amazing
Some
people.
New places to support if you haven't heard of those already.
Yes, I'll be hosting a workshop. Actually, it'll be, I think it'll probably have already happened by the time this airs, but I'll be hosting a workshop at Pink Portal as well. So I'm looking forward to
Awesome.
that. Yeah, love funneling support to people that are dope.
Absolutely.
Doing dope things for the community.
Absolutely. That's that community care.
Yes, exactly. But so that's kind of like the life outside of the club, because ideally you're not working at the club the way that you work a normal job. That's kind of like one of the reasons to do it. I'm a night owl, so for me, I'm like, night shift is great. So like no daylight for me. Like this, I do not get seasonal depression in the winter. Like I get it in the summer. I'm like, there's too much daylight. This is overstimulating. Like I hate this. But yeah, clocking into the shift at the club, usually you kind of, well, okay, I'm not going to say usually because some clubs suck and they make you work regimented hours, even though you're not a contractor or a W-2, and that's technically illegal, and they should not be doing that. But you'll get to the club whenever you get to the club. Usually you have a little bit of say in when that is. I'm usually someone who likes to go in later and stay till the end of the night because I'm a night owl, but some people are early shift and they come in and it's like you might be one of 3 people at the club, so you get all of the business that comes in, but also maybe nobody comes in. So kind of depends on like your vibe as a stripper. And I'm speaking on my experience in sex work as a stripper. And again, white, cisgender, femme presenting, like relatively thin human, like that is my lens. So I do not want to speak for or like even pretend that I can speak for people who have different experience and inhabit different bodies. But yeah, get to the club, check in, get ready. I usually get ready like before I go because it's so easy to get distracted in the locker room and be like, I don't want to go out there and talk to these people. Like, don't want to do this. But yeah, I like to have like a pre-shift ritual of like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to get dressed, I'm going to like go get a club soda at the bar and then like start my shift. And I like walk in with headphones on so that nothing can like faze me. But yeah, just getting into the mindset and then working a shift. So it's like, you know, you're on the floor. Your job is to approach people, say hi, introduce yourself, and like sell them the experience that they're looking for. Sometimes that's a lap dance. Sometimes that's sitting and having a conversation. Sometimes it's a VIP room. Sometimes it's a bachelor party. Sometimes at my club in South Carolina, we would put the bachelors on stage and then like a bunch of us would go up and dance around. And like one of my old roommates used to like make guys get on their hands and knees and like ride them around and like take their belt and like whip them with it. And their friends would just be like throwing money. It was super fun, super ridiculous. But yeah, you kind of like create your own adventure in there. You kind of create the persona that you want to embody for the night. Like you get to try on a bunch of different characters or you find one that works for you. Some people take the more like I'm a dom, call me mommy approach. Some people take the more like I'm a healer, like I'm a yapper, like come talk to me. Some people are like dancers, stage girlies, like putting on the show. Like that's definitely my bag. Yeah, so there's lots of different ways that the club can look depending on who you are, depending on what club you work at. Like Chicago clubs are a lot different than the clubs in South Carolina or the clubs in San Diego and like the other places that I've been. I love a club where I can just throw some ass. And I'm usually there until the end. I love to like finish out. At the end of the night, you will go around and like you'll pay your tip out. So you'll give the money to the house mom who is like, depending on the club, varying in qualities of like what they provide. Sometimes they're just there with like extra supplies. Sometimes they give advice. Sometimes they're like selling outfits. Sometimes there's no house mom. So it's just kind of someone in the locker room like supporting. Like I want to be a house mom in my future. I feel like that's the dream job. That's the retirement gig.
Dude, are you, last time I saw you perform was at Karma Sweat.
Oh, yes.
And I have to ask, are you like whipping out tricks like all the freaking time? Because like my body hurts. My body hurts, dude.
I'm going to preface this with I started gymnastics when I was like 7 and then trained alongside people in their journeys to becoming pro athletes, like at the D1 and Olympic level. So my body is very used to crazy things. Like I did gymnastics 6 days a week, 5 hours a day. So like for like 10 years competitively. And then I danced all college and then I now have a very active life. So for me, I'm like, this feels like it's very like low effort for me, that stuff that I watch people do. And I'm like, oh, I remember when this was like a lot high effort.
Yeah.
High effort. But really like I'm doing little walks. I'm doing little sits. I'm twerking. I'm like, I'm floor fucking. Like I am not. If I'm doing tricks, it's because I'm being paid for the tricks or because I'm vibing for myself on the stage. I feel like I get into my best flow states at the club too, which is like not the case for a lot of people. A lot of people are just like very much phoning in the pole part of it because that's like not the thing that like that's kind of a misnomer in pole studios that like being really good at poles what makes you a really good stripper, but you really like the pole skills are 5% of the job. It's mostly sales and marketing and branding and conversation. And
that's probably something that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
Literally.
Totally.
People like come to pole class, get pretty good at pole. Like I could be a stripper. And it's like, yes, it's part of it. And when I first started, like the clubs that I was at, they were more stage clubs. Like I would make money on the stage set because the pole was 25 feet in the middle of the space. And it was like there's like 3 stages in that club. So there's like tons of space to dance. And that was like super fun. And I loved that. And I'd be doing like headstands and I'd be like crawling around the floor. And I'd be like, one of the girls, she used to climb all the way to the top of the pole, the 25-foot pole. She'd invert. She'd get into like a leg hang. She'd do a little cross. And then she'd just drop.
Oh
Dude.
And she'd land like this far from the floor. And I'm like, you're a bad bitch.
I've watched that.
I'd be throwing money at that.
At a club one time and I was like,
yeah, take all my money.
Literally.
Yeah, it's great. I learned a lot of my tricks at the club. I am mostly self-taught. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, and most of my life I am primarily self-taught after gymnastics. I feel like I had a really good foundation.
Yeah, gymnastics really does give you that good foundation. I feel like a lot of people go into pole after like being a dancer or being a gymnast, and then they find pole in their adult life.
Yeah, you get kind of 2 groups of people who are like sex workers who also pole. And there's some people who found pole through sex work, and there are some people who found sex work through pole. And I feel like the intersection and like overlap is really interesting. Yeah, not every pole dancer is a stripper, but every stripper is a pole dancer. So.
Yep.
That reminds me that I think the last time I saw you perform was at Thoughts and Prayers.
Oh, yeah.
And the champagne.
I love that so much.
Oh, my God.
And you best believe I've been doing shit like that. Like, I love it.
My jaw was on the floor. I was like, hell yeah.
It was so much fun. I remember talking to my friend about that performance because I was like kind of anxious because it was like a moment of like coming out publicly of like, this is how I learned to dance, and this is like a thing that I do for money and not just like a thing I only tell people about in person. So it was like a very vulnerable moment for me, and it was like really nice to have the community rally and receive so much support. That was really cool. But yeah, I remember being like, okay, so I'm gonna start on the bar. I'm gonna give you like a little floor dance. I'm gonna do the worm down the aisle. I'm gonna pole dance. I'm gonna take off my shoes. I'm gonna give you a lap dance, and then I'm going to pour champagne on my ass, and then I'm going to do an Iron X. And my friends were like,
shut up. You did an Iron X too, dude?
Yeah. It was awesome.
I was so jealous. I did not. I can't believe I didn't see that.
Hannah actually gave me her ticket that night. She
I
was
did,
so generous.
because Amanda's girl was in town, and I was like, I go to shows all the time. Like,
yeah,
bring your girl to a show.
Do it. Yeah.
I don't know.
It was so much fun. I shout out to Sin for giving me the opportunity to put that piece together because that was really special and very fun. And I love a prompt. I'm not a very shallow human. I'm like, I love something where I can get deep. And for me, getting deep is pouring champagne on my ass.
Yeah, that show is so
volumes. Speaks volumes.
It really does.
Also, just for our listeners, if you haven't seen Roxxie's videos of her performing, you should follow her on Instagram because she's actually so incredible.
I appreciate that.
I took my first class with you like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
because you were subbing for tricks. And I remember telling Hannah, I was like nervous because we had this interview coming up, and I was like, how's Roxxie's class? Like, is it really hard? Am I going to embarrass myself? And then I remember just being like, she's an amazing teacher. And I just like, you're so good.
Thank you.
So that's just a shout out.
I appreciate that. I feel like if there's anything I really, really give a shit about in life, it's being good at teaching what I teach and like standing on business as far as like knowing what I'm talking about, because I have been done. And this is like, it goes into the healthcare conversation because I've been done very dirty by coaches, not intentionally and like not maliciously, but just because they were not seeing what was happening in my body. And then it was like doing me a huge disservice and like injuring my body. And I feel like if people come to pole to get in shape and they do no other cross training, then like it is my responsibility to make sure that we get a core workout and a restorative like start to class, and that there are like approachable variations, and that you feel like you're getting healthier and better and stronger through the experience, and not putting yourself at risk of getting injured and not being able to move and having to take breaks, because that not only isolates you from community, but like having a healthy body is rebellious as fuck.
Yeah, speaking as someone who's had an injury from pole and then had to stop pulling, like that, it does suck.
Yeah.
Your warm-ups are
I remember
fire
saying,
though, by the way.
I'm like, her warm-up is a Pilates class. It's amazing.
It is. And you know what? Like 20 minutes of Pilates That's like all it takes if you do it well.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it takes.
That was awesome.
So leading off of that, can you tell us a little bit about like one of our first questions, because we're jumping into kind of like health and healthcare, right? There's problems with how people can access healthcare if you're a sex worker, and we're going to talk about that today too. But starting off, can you talk to us about like physical or pelvic health related issues that like you've experienced, or like maybe strippers have experienced, or are super common?
Yeah, absolutely. I know I was saying to you guys before this, I feel like I exist and like my studio exists to fill a gap in the space of like, as a sex worker, like you're marginalized from every angle of society. Like everything is working against you. So like you can't talk about your problems with your providers. You're going to be gaslit by your providers. You're not going to be like taken seriously. And most of your providers are more interested in like rescuing you from sex work instead of like actually helping you like get better. And then hierarchy, like where you fall on the hierarchy of whores, kind of determines how much or little support that you get from the practitioners that you see. So hierarchy, for those who don't know that term, it's kind of like, I feel like as like a burlesque performer is kind of like the top of the hierarchy. It's like respected. It's seen as like an art form, you know, it's like, okay. And you have more access to resources. You have more access to privilege, and the body that you inhabit in that space is also going to determine like where you fall in that hierarchy. The Essential Clinical Care book kind of breaks it down by like the space in which you're providing like sex work services. So like a safe space like a strip club versus like a street-based worker, and kind of like the spectrum of like who and how and where you're getting your clients, and like what kind of safety protections you have access to. Like, do you have bouncers? Do you have security? Do you have cameras? Or like, are you literally standing on the street just like in it fending for yourself? And
Yeah, and it's kind of like how the public or how society like views sex workers.
Yes.
It's like on this type of like hierarchy.
Yes.
Right.
And like if you go in to see a provider to get treated for, say, like you injured your hip from dancing, or like you have some sort of injury that you sustained, maybe not even related to work, and you like go in, one of the first things that they're going to ask you is like, what is your occupation? Yeah. And if you don't feel safe to even have that conversation, then like you're not even going to be able to have an honest conversation about what you need to do to get better. So like you're not going to receive proper treatment. And you're like, just because you are a street-based sex worker does not mean you do not deserve to have a healthy body.
Exactly. And it's like people might not feel safe to say like, oh, like I am a sex worker, because there's like legislation involved, and it's like, what are you going to put in your documentation? Like, do I feel safe here? And like, if I say this, is it going to change your perspective of me and like how you're going to treat me? Because I don't know who you are as a physician or whatever, like a therapist or any other kind of healthcare worker. Like,
exactly. Like pole fitness girlies, they're like, oh, the stigma is like, oh, you pole dance, like don't associate me with sex work. But stigma is not just about like perception. It's about like actual things working against you in society. So it's like, I don't have access to, like as a stripper, you don't have access to paid time off. You don't have access to workers' comp. If you get hurt on the job and you can't work, you can't work. How are you making money? How are you paying your bills? It's not stigma in the sense that like you're being judged, you know? That's like such a low tier complaint. Like, I don't care who judges me. Like, I don't give a fuck if you think I'm a whore. Yeah, okay, I love that title. That fits, you know? Like, you don't, like, I will charge for the service you give for free. Like, whores have more self-respect than people who are, you know, popping pussy for free and then judging the people who are like, I deserve to get paid for this. I'm so good at this. I should be doing it pro. Drake sang a song about this, and I'm like, yeah, I should not have to fuck for free. I'm too good at this. You don't deserve this.
period.
You don't deserve this.
Oh, so good.
But yeah, stigma is not just a mentality. It is not just like, same thing with like being queer. Yeah, there's a stigma around coming out as queer or as, you know, polyamorous or whatever. People may judge me for those things, but in some spaces, like I'm actually just not safe to have those identities. Like I will not be like welcome in the space. I will, like, my physical safety will be threatened. Like in the military, that it's like an unsafe environment to have those identities. So it's like the difference, understanding the difference between like I feel judged or I feel perceived a certain way versus like I'm actually restricted from receiving the things that humans deserve and need, like having healthy bodies because of the job that I have.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just your ability to like self-validate, right?
Absolutely.
It's something that's very important for your safety and your well-being.
Absolutely.
Going off of that, are there any like specific injuries like you've had in the past? Like, are there any like personal experience you've had?
Yeah. Yeah. My back is very fucked up.
Really?
Yeah, I've herniated L3, 4, and 5, and then I also have a fractured sacrum. So my SI joint is not aligned properly. It's like bent. And a lot of
Not my SI joint girlies out here.
yeah, my back is in all kinds of shambles. My hips are all kinds of messed up from just like years of my body masking for me, which is something I'm working through in my current things that I'm unlocking in my body, and like things that I'm working through is like my journey with like evening out my hips and like training my hips in like healthier ways. But my back injury actually is something that happened when I was on deployment, and then I got back from deployment, and it was like all of a sudden my body was safe to feel pain again because I was no longer like, on deployment you're standing 16 hours a day driving the ship, so it's like
you have to keep going. Your body's
I
in
have
like
to keep going. Yeah, I'm like I will keep doing this because like I cannot stop. But then I got back and I was like in so much pain, and I remember being like. Some days I couldn't walk, like some days I could not get out of bed, and some days I couldn't get dressed or drive. Like it was very much impeding my ability to not just like exist, but like be like alive. That was not fun. So when I got back from deployment, I was like, I need to reshift my focus towards my health. And so I started like going to the gym and like training, trying to get stronger. I went to PT, and this is where like not having a trained eye was really detrimental to my health, because they were like, you're doing the exercises, but I was not doing them well because I'm one, hypermobile, and two, like have years of gymnastics. So like it will look like I'm doing it, but if you don't know what you're looking for, like if my tail's not tucked right, if my abs are not pulled in, if my ribs are flared out, like you're not going to get the same things out of the exercise if you're doing it less than correct. And that was the case for me. So I was like in PT 2, sometimes 3 times a week. I was getting told I was unprofessional, and like actually had my physical, like my evaluations in the military, like docked points because I had to like miss class to go to physical therapy because the only time that the clinics were open was during the working hours of the place that I was at, which was crazy. I was like, okay, well, if I can't walk, I can't do my job either. So I don't know what you want me to do. So I was just like really struggling. PT was not working. I was not getting any better. And I was like training glutes, training core, because that was what they said to do. And I was like weightlifting and trying to just like get my health in check so that I could be in less pain. It got to the point where like nothing was working. And then they were like, you need to try dry needling. That's like the next approach. And then I was like, I'm really afraid of needles. I don't really think that's going to work. I don't want to do it. I would prefer not to. And they were like, well, if you don't comply to this stage of treatment, like we're not going to refer you to a specialist. And so then I was like not being referred to a specialist. So I like went through with dry needling and was like, I hate this. And it was very like awful. And I was just crying the whole time because it was like uncomfortable. And also I did not like trust the provider. And then they finally like referred me to get imaging. And then the imaging was like, oh yeah, your back is all kinds of problematic. And then they were like, let's give you a steroid shot for that. And so then I had steroid shots like every 3 to 6 months for a couple of years that I paid out of pocket for because my healthcare did not cover them because I was non-compliant with that next stage of treatment. So I ended up having to like seek on my own. And that was in the military when I had healthcare. So then when I started dancing at the club and I was like, throwing ass professionally for sometimes 8 hours a day, 4 days a week, and then teaching the other 2 was like not helping me at all. But it was like helping my mental health. So I kept doing it and like kept pushing through. And then it was like getting to the point where I was like in this unsustainable cycle of like having to count every calorie that went into my body and having to work out so much because I knew I would gain weight if I like did one thing wrong, and then like having to keep going and like recreate that environment of like I can't stop, like I'm creating that like unsafe environment in the nervous system of like my body doesn't feel safe to stop, so I like kept going and going and going. Then when I got out of the military and I had that kind of moment of safety again, like it was like the pain came right back and I couldn't walk again and I was like really struggling again, and it was like this very bad cycle of like overtraining, trying to fix problems and like not really feeling like I had the answers or the right solutions, and like disjointed care from disjointed practitioners who weren't talking to each other and who were just trying to treat symptoms, and then like not knowing what to do. So I ended up taking like a year off of the gym. I was like, I need to just stop. I gained like 35 pounds. I like danced only. I like gave up doing a lot of tricks. I wasn't working at a club. I was like taking a very much off season. I got a corporate job, which was horrible. Would not recommend. Did that for like 8 months. Was like, this is not for me.
No.
Yeah, that was not it. That was not it for me. But yeah, so I like took that time to just like rehab my body, and that was when I found Pilates, and specifically classical Pilates. Specifically, like I learned from someone who is like, I'm a 3rd generation Pilates instructor, so the training that I got was really high quality, and she was someone who had the trained eye to catch the ways that I was compensating and to call me out on them in a way that I was like very much just like blindly trusting the process and was like learning things for the first time, and that like changed my body, and I have not had back pain in like that in 2.5 years, like since I started doing
Hell
classical
yeah.
Pilates. And now I'm like, now I feel like the thing that makes me my money, like the thing that I am valuable for as a teacher, is the way that my eye is trained and the way that I will see things that other people will not see, and like the way that I will fill the gaps in like the disjointed approaches like the Western medicine has towards health.
Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting whenever I like ask people that question of their experiences with the healthcare system. I feel like, I mean, you didn't really even touch on like medical gaslighting specifically. I mean, you did a little bit medical gaslighting, but like people can go in on it and like, I mean, that's why our one-on-one care is so important that we have here, right? Like what you were saying before.
Yeah.
You were going to PT, but was the care great that you were receiving? Like you were probably, I mean, I don't know what kind of PT situation you were in, but there's so many PT practices that people have like 3 practitioners or 3 patients at a time that they're like, they can't have an eye on all 3 at the time, right?
Exactly.
Which is messed up in the system itself. But
Yeah. I think this is something we talk about a lot, that like not all healthcare is created equal. So it's like, just because you have a title doesn't mean you have the trained eye or the training necessary to approach this specific issue.
Yeah.
And a big issue I have with PT education in general is that they literally don't teach you exercise programming and how to actually evaluate exercises. It's condition focused, and there's like the treatment approaches in that way. And then it's like, and then you program their home exercise program. So unless a PT has an outside training certification, Pilates certification, something else, they're going into being a new practitioner without any of that education. So it really is, it's interesting that like whatever like military program they had, they didn't have providers.
Yeah, I mean, like I saw a doctor once for 15 minutes when I first went in, and then the rest of the time it was like a list of exercises that was handed to like I'm like a corpsman. It's like basically the equivalent of like a CNA. Some like 22-year-old kid who's just there on his short tour. Like, okay, do these glute bridges.
Yeah.
Okay, walk on this treadmill. Like,
that was like my first 3 PT jobs.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Or like when I was like the aide that they would hand patients off to. And that's actually like, I know you said you're like self-taught in a lot of ways, but also it was out of necessity that you had to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was like, okay, I'm responsible for this person doing this exercise. So I'm going to like become a trainer and learn how to do those exercises. Because I was like, I'm going to be good at whatever position you put me in, because that's just my personality.
Exactly.
So now I have to learn how to do it.
Yes, exactly. I'm like so happy to hear you guys like echoing this. I feel like it's like decolonizing the mindset of like the person in the white coat knows best, and being like, the person in the white coat knows some things. Are those the things that I need to hear right now? Or is this like part of a bigger puzzle? I feel like a lot of my like sex worker clients specifically go on this journey of like, I feel pain. I'm going to go to the doctor. They're going to refer me to PT. I'm going to do PT for however many months, and then it's either going to work and make it better. I'm going to stop going to PT. I'm going to stop doing the exercises. Pain's going to come back. Or I'm going to like not get help from PT. I'm going to get referred to get like a specialist appointment or to get imaging that's going to cost probably a lot of money out of pocket, because you probably don't have healthcare if you're a sex worker, because unless you're paying out of pocket for it and sourcing it and doing all the research and legwork to like figure out what, like navigate the mess that is like, I feel like I'm a pretty literate person, and when it comes to navigating healthcare, I'm like, I'd rather just not have it.
there's physicians.
The healthcare marketplace is a wild place.
I'm telling you, I've talked to physicians that like, they're like, I'm literally a physician and I don't even understand my own health insurance. Like, that's how complex health insurance is.
And it's like by design, like, and we use the processing of like AI and the internet and technology. And like now we can write a bunch of words that don't mean anything to like convolute the system so capitalists can make more money. And that's dumb. That's dumb, you know? And it's just like so unfortunate. But that's like the reality. People will like try to get help. They'll go on this very expensive journey. They'll go on this very time consuming journey. They'll go on this like deep dive looking for answers. Like, why do I have chronic pain? Why do I always feel this way? Like, what is going on in my body? And then they're not getting appropriate answers. And then they're also not being able to like tell the truth about their profession. So they're like the provider who may even be able to help them or who may want to help them, if they do not feel safe. And especially like, if you're a person of color and you walk in and you see like a white doctor, especially a white man. The first time I went for pelvic pain, like pain with sex, the doctor that I saw was a white man. I was like, I just know that you are not. It's like the time a bald guy did my hair. I'm like, you're just not about to give me anything that I.
The bald guy.
But yeah, that's like the journey that people go on of like trying to get help, desperately wanting help, not being able to figure out what is wrong, and then just feeling really helpless. And like if you're a sex worker and you're like, okay, well, like people have this mentality of like, I can't do this forever. This is going to be temporary for me. But like, if I have a healthy body, I can, like, sex work is the oldest profession. There will always be work for me as a sex worker. Talk about job security. Like, I know there will always be a demand for sex work, but if my body gives out on me, I will not be able to provide the service in the way that like is sustainable. So like that, like health, having your health is crucial. And this doesn't just apply to sex workers. This applies to lots of people. Like this applied to me before I was a sex worker. That's where I'm like, I have this time, this like skill set that I can use to help people kind of navigate that journey and be the person that's saying like, okay, you heard this from your PT, you heard this from your doctor. Now, do you really want to spend thousands of dollars going on this very expensive journey towards chronic pain? Or do you want to sit down with me and have a conversation about how much do you walk? How do you sleep? What do you eat? What does your workout look like? How are you physically moving your body? Are you overtraining? Are you overdoing it on the pole? Like, are you not engaging your core when you twerk because you're going to throw your back out? Can we just have that conversation? Can we give it a try at this level, at a sliding scale pace? Like $100 a month for 4 classes is like a manageable amount, you know, and that will make a difference because it will train you how to move your body. And then that sets you up for success in a very different way for like longevity in your career.
Yeah, it's a preventative practice at the end of the
Absolutely.
day. So that's really important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, prehab.
That's what I
It's
call it.
like- Yeah, it's like prehab. No, it's so important, especially with like access to healthcare being so freaking hard,
Correct.
dude.
That's
Like,
correct.
it's really important, and really like we learned, like me and Amanda, we both learned from Pilates instructors.
Yeah.
Like Amanda was saying earlier, like there's a lot of PTs that just go to, they get their doctorate. They get their license and then they go to treat patients but have no background with like exercise.
Absolutely.
And then it's just like you're not teaching the right things to your patients.
Yeah.
So I think like some of the best PTs have like also a background in either like
Yeah.
they have like some type of personal training certification or they have a yoga background or a Pilates background. Like I truly see those as like the best PTs. And honestly, like we've even had like in our clinic, we have a Pilates instructor come in and like show us new exercises and like we
Yeah.
learn from them too. And it's great.
Absolutely.
There's huge overlap.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
best PTs also have their own movement practice. Whenever I meet other clinicians that aren't like
Correct.
practicing what they preach, which we're all guilty of at some point.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, I wasn't good about that this month, but having it be important to you,
Absolutely.
I think, and we can see that so clearly in the way you talk about Pilates and like what it's done for you.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I would trust you with a private right now, which
Yeah.
I already worked with you, so I know you're good. But like,
Yeah.
even just hearing you talk, I'd be like, yeah, like sign me up right now.
Yeah. I remember like a few years ago. So I started a poll Instagram page, like, I don't know, like 2023, like before I moved to Chicago. Cause I was like, I just want to start fresh. I just need to like cut out the old version of me and just like reinvent myself, which was necessary and has been wonderful for my life. But I remember thinking like, I have to really be about it. Like before I start offering coaching, before I start like charging people for service, like I have to be in alignment with what I'm teaching every day. Cause like if I don't experience it, if I don't embody it, then like, who am I to tell anybody anything? And so before I ever started coaching, before I ever started doing like one-on-one work or getting into the more like integrated care and like any of that, like I spent so much time on my own journey and like in my own body and like figuring things out for myself and seeking out answers in like creative ways when I couldn't figure it out and like knowing who to turn to.
Bringing it back to like healthcare experiences in general. So this can be, you know, things you've heard from other sex workers or like your own experience. But we talked a little bit at the beginning about how, or maybe we didn't talk about this yet, how providers can try to like talk people out of the profession.
Oh yeah.
Do you have experience with that? Have you just heard experiences with that? Anything you would want to share?
I'm like, the book that we read was about therapy, which is like the primary place where they're like, I have so much gaslighting in therapy that is crazy. It's like, it's crazy. But like, you know, it's like we talked about in the last episode, like no white man found in trying to save a sex worker. Like usually it's not no doctor found in trying to save a sex worker from herself, you know, or themselves. But like everybody has this mentality, like your mental health issues are like related to sex work or like your injuries and like your body. And of course the body like holds on to things, like the body holds on to trauma. We know that, but also like lots of people experience trauma in lots of different professions. That's not unique to sex work.
Yeah.
Like the rates at which sex workers experience those things might be higher because of the criminalization element, not because sex work is inherently bad or traumatic. Like consent is consent in every environment. So it's like a lot of people don't understand the difference between consensual sex work and sex trafficking. And like when people are consenting to sex work, like it's not, they're not like, they don't need to be talked out of it. Like they consent to this lifestyle. This is a choice, you know. If it's not a choice, that's different, but that's probably not a place for a medical provider to be stepping in, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's not a doctor who's seeing you for 15 minutes job to save you from yourself. Like it's their job to treat the thing that they're treating.
Yeah, it's super important for anyone who's listening that is a sex worker for you to find someone that has experience working with sex workers, or I mean, honestly, is like open about like, hey, I treat sex workers.
Yeah.
Like it's whether it's a therapist, like a pelvic floor PT. I think it's also really important in our field too, because like in our sessions too, it's practically like therapy. Sometimes there's a lot of overlap. It's not therapy, like mental health therapy, but like we're having conversations with people. And like, if you have those implicit biases that sex work is not work, that you need to save your patient so that you can help their pelvic pain, and maybe this is the root of it. Like you need to really analyze those implicit biases and like see where that's coming from.
Yeah.
I think there was a quote in the book specifically that I really loved that I wrote down, and it said, "How have unchallenged historical understandings of sex work created problematic frameworks in which providers engage?" And I feel like that's a really super important quote for anyone listening that is a provider. I mean, everyone has implicit biases. Like it's not a bad thing. Like it's just the fact, like, are you going to like look inwards and analyze that and then be better?
Yeah.
That's what we need.
And it's not always this like macro statement, like you should leave your industry. Like not all providers are being that blatant about it, right? So it's all these like micro statements and things that we might not even know we're bringing up.
Yeah.
So I think you wrote it from the book that was like, really ask yourself, like, are you truly, it says sex positive in the book, but we're going sex neutral.
Yes.
Are you truly like a sex neutral provider?
Yeah.
And can you give examples of like how you can show up that way for your patients? And if not, maybe you should do a little bit more work on that before you're seeing these patients.
Absolutely. Like if someone is a construction worker and they injure their shoulders and they need to be able to like rehab their shoulders to lift heavy things to do their job, you're going to be like, okay, let's fix your shoulders so you can do your job. Someone comes in with pelvic pain because they're a sex worker and they're like, well, I'm a full service sex worker and pelvic pain is inhibiting my ability to do my job. Like we treat the pelvic pain so they can do their job. Like, and that will probably improve their mental health as well. Like not having pain improves your mental health like so much.
No, 100%.
Follow-up question to that, because we're always looking to improve. And as an industry that is advocating for decriminalization, we love to set like goals for our patients, like patient returns to this in X amount of weeks, whatever. What would your advice be for providers that are nervous about like putting too much on paper that the patient might not want on paper because of the criminalization of the industry?
Yeah. I mean, don't put that they're a sex worker on the paper. Know it in your heart, know it in your conversations, be like present in those moments. And instead of thinking about what's going in your notebook, think about the person in front of you. Fuck the notebook. Write down the thing that the healthcare insurance company needs to know to continue to provide the service. Write down the thing that you need to write down. I feel like you guys talked about this like in the menopause episode that you did with another doctor that you had on. But it's like you write the thing that's going to facilitate the treatment. What you write on the paper to appease the capitalists is not the thing that like has to align with your treatment. Like
I think so many providers need to hear that. So if there's people listening that can relate, because in PT school, it's like, oh, well, what are you documenting and how specific are you being in this goal setting and how does that make it billable? But we struggle in pelvic floor all the time to bill things that we're like, this is not a functional outcome for us. And the outcome that we are actually working towards isn't something we can bill to insurance anyway. So we have to like work around wordage all the time.
So full service sex work is criminalized, right?
Yeah.
Like people can get arrested for prostitution. It's very illegal. It's a very easy way to go to jail. It's a very easy way to have a record that makes it hard for you to do anything, like start a business or get a credit score or get a home loan, you know, like all of the things, all of the systemic barriers, and then magnified based on the body that you inhabit. Like if you are more marginalized, you're going to be more like oppressed by those things. But there's not really a place for, and then FOSTA SESTA, one of the things that it did was like make it really hard for, like there were lots of online resources. I don't want to misspeak, so I'm not going to get into too many specifics, but there were a lot of online resources that existed that sex workers had created to like screen clients for safety and like using like the internet to help facilitate safer sex work. And then FOSTA SESTA was like, nope, get rid of all of that, delete all of that. So like Google documents, websites, like all kinds of stuff that was used for sex workers to like safely screen full service clients, like erased overnight. So the club becomes like one of the only places that you can exist and like screen full service clients and be like, you're a real person, you're not going to kill me. Like, at least I don't think so, you know, and I can meet you in a place where there's cameras and safety guards, and then like decide if we're going to be like a good match as like a client outside of here. So a lot of times like people are working in the club and then someone asks them like, oh, how much does it cost to have XYZ interaction with you outside of here? And then people get like really offended by that who are working there. They're like, I'm not doing all that. Like, this is a strip club. Why are you asking me that? It's like, this is the only safe and legal place to ask that question. And like, if you're someone who doesn't provide full service, then be like, I don't offer that service. And if you're someone who does provide full service, be like, this is my price for that service and these are my conditions, and like have that conversation, you know. Obviously don't be offering full service in the club where it jeopardizes the safety and legality of that club continuing to exist, because that is the space for the service. But yeah, I feel like full service sex work is something that's very taboo. And then the hierarchy conversation, like being a full service sex worker has like all kinds of things that come with it as far as like seeing them as less than. But again, like too good to fuck for free. I don't understand why that is talked. Like, I mean, I do understand it's patriarchy, right? It's like men not wanting to pay for a service that they feel entitled to for free. But yeah, I feel like that manifests in the way that people will seek healthcare too. Because it's like, oh, if you're a full service sex worker, you're having pelvic pain, maybe you don't want to like talk about it. And then it's like now at your work environment, you can't talk about being full service. In your healthcare environment, you can't talk about being full service. If you don't have community support or family support, you can't talk about being full service. Literally, you live this secret life. No one knows what you do. No one knows who you are. No one hears about your problems. You start to internalize that like you need to be invisible and that you need to like not like acknowledge or exist or like experience any of these things. That's like a horrible place to be in. And that's like, that makes sex workers so much more susceptible to systemic violence. And that's like so heartbreaking. So like even just being a provider who can hear that someone is a full service sex worker and be like, okay, so what do you want to work on? Like, is it hip pain? Is it pelvic floor pain? Is it like, you know, glute strength? Like, what are we doing? What are we treating here? Like, how can I assist you in that?
Exactly. I mean, I feel like that's something that so many people need to hear. And I mean, on top of that, there's so much that goes into like the hierarchy is kind of like a theme of this episode too. It's like there's gender, there's race, there's queerness that all kind of like play into that as well. So, I mean, if you guys like are questioning all these like terms that we're throwing out, the book that we've talked about a lot is Essential Clinical Care for Sex Workers. So we'll tag it down below. So if you're a provider listening, if you're anyone listening, we highly recommend that book.
Yeah.
In this episode, we've talked a lot about how sex workers can take care of their bodies to help with their profession.
Yeah.
So if you had to design a retreat for sex workers to like all in one, take care of their health, well-being, like what would you include in that? Because it's not always healthcare, right?
Yeah, correct. That's so interesting. I love that question. I've been like thinking about planning a retreat for a long time with another friend of mine who's a sex worker. So I'm like, it's like in the works already. But yeah, I really feel like sex workers need more spaces where it's just okay to be sex workers. And it's like okay to have conversations about sex work because like where do you do that? Like in the pole community, it feels like it's normal because we have these conversations at the studio. But even there, sometimes it's like I don't know what I can and can't say in front of some students because I don't know where everybody's like experiences with sex work and I don't know how everyone perceives sex work and I don't want to like put myself in an unsafe situation or any of my friends. So it's like the spaces for people to even just talk about sex work are very limited. But yeah, sex workers deserve a space. Like if I were to plan a retreat, probably involve some sort of like hype yourself up, photo shoot, video shoot, probably some sort of massage therapy, probably some sort of like healthy food being provided or cooked together in community and then like eaten together, probably some sort of mindfulness journaling practice where we're like going through our body and being, what do I feel in my body? How do I feel about my body? And like actually like paying attention, tuning in. Lots of Pilates, lots of grounding movement, like floor work, maybe pole, probably not, honestly. But just having a space to exist and be like, I deserve to like do all these things for myself and to like treat myself with care and respect and dignity. And the more that I do this for myself, like the more that I believe this for myself, the more that I believe other people deserve it. And like that is the collective awakening like we all need to have. Like if I feel like I'm struggling to accept that I deserve something, like I don't think I need to rest. I don't like have time to take care of my health. Like I have to reframe it as like okay, well, we deserve this collectively. We deserve to rest. We deserve to take care of ourselves. We deserve to have positive self-image. We all deserve that. And in order for us all to deserve that, like I have to believe that I deserve it too. Because like it starts with yourself. And if you are taking care of yourself, like the pieces fall in place around you.
I think what you just said is so important,
Trailer.
whether you know or not, because how many people out there already think they deserve retreats like this? Like,
Yeah.
these exist.
Correct.
And so many people will go on them, like, and it's coined as like a wellness retreat
Yeah.
and whatever. But
It's
to
like-
have that space dedicated and to ensure that people know that they deserve it, that's just like part of the advocacy of saying, like, hey, we deserve the same respect as anyone else to take care of
Absolutely.
our bodies and get back to what we need to do.
Yeah. And self-care is not for sale. Self-care is a practice. You get better by practicing it every day. 1% better. That's it. Like, walk outside for 10 minutes. Like, just go breathe air. Go breathe new air. Like, go outside. Like, take a deep breath. Like, one deep breath. Like, it never feels like enough. We always want to associate like intensity of action with like results, but it's not. More is not better. Better is better. So what is better for you? What does better look like in your day? Love that.
I know.
Better is really
Better
good.
is better.
I was gonna say, like, your speech right there. I was like, that's a trailer right there. That's going on a reel, baby.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be so many to choose from. I'm
Yeah.
excited. All right, should we jump into some listener questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe you have those actually. Let's pick a few of your favorites.
Let's pick up some favorite listener cues, baby.
Yes. It's talking about like heel clacks and edge work and being like, I do a lot of heel clacks when I dance, and I want to learn more about like the history and like the origins of that.
Yeah.
And I will just say, like, your girl's not doing hours and hours of tricks on the pole. Your girl's doing hours and hours of walking around that thing and just like looking hot. And that's where like you can only walk in a circle so many times before you're like, what else can I do here? So that's kind of where heel work comes in. I feel like in Chicago specifically, like clubs, like the club that I worked at here had static poles. So I got really into like static low flow and static rotations, and that like really shaped my movement there. So that's like a place where my edge work comes from. But also like, again, not fitting into the ballerina mold, like flexed feet. Like what does sex look like? It's not pointed toes and like perfectly manicured movements, you know? Like,
Wait, hell yeah. I love that you just said that.
yeah,
That's so fucking true. And that's why it's so hot, dude.
correct. Like, yeah, flex those feet, girl.
Dude, I love a flex foot. I'm telling you, like, one of my favorite, like, I think I took like low flow one night and I just started like flexing the hell out of my feet, and
Yeah.
it's my favorite video of myself.
It's-
I'm like, I look
yes.
so hot.
It is so
Yes.
hot.
Going against the norms.
One
It's
day I'll
just
be able to
raw.
do it.
Yes. Playing socks, put socks on and just
Ooh,
slide around. It's great.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then clacks. It's like, look at me.
Mhm.
You're not paying enough attention to me. That's where the clack
I love a
comes
good
from.
clack.
Yeah. Also, like a lot of stripper style comes from just the South, the clubs in the South where like R&B, hip hop, rap music kind of originates, and it's like strippers can throw ass to it, then it is like good enough to make it out of the club. P Valley talks about this too. There's like a rapper who's like, he's trying to get like one of the dancers at the club to like dance to his songs, and she's like, bro, your music sucks, you got to make it better. And so it's like his journey of like leveling up as an artist and like her journey of like helping him, and it's like he ends up like, it's just a really cool like artistic journey because like strippers are artists. Like one of the P Valley, one of the characters, she's like, it's like you see her whole backstory and you're like, oh my God, like you feel so much for her because you see all the ways that like society has kind of like marginalized her. Then you see her dance and you're like, holy fuck, like that's how you move, like that's crazy, like that's insane. And like she's so talented. That's the norm at the club, like the most talented people. And you're like, why is like society making your life so hard? Like you are so talented. And so people will like use clacks on the beat because it like flows with the song, you know? And if like strippers can dance to it, then it's like anyone can dance. Like it's meant to vibe to. One of these questions asks if the environment has changed much or at all since Trump. And I think that a lot of the perception of things that are happening now, I was like talking to you guys about this in our little intermission, but like so much of people like are seeing stuff now and they're like, oh my God, this is like crazy. This is not normal. This is ridiculous. And I'm like, can we stop saying this is not normal? Like
Yeah.
people have been oppressed and marginalized like this for centuries. You're just now seeing it. You're exposing your privilege by saying that. And like, I'm sorry, but your ego needs to like get put to the side. Like the way that people are being oppressed now that we are seeing like on our own land, like that has always been the reality. It's not new. It's not different. The only different part is that it's here now. And when it comes to like how that manifests in the strip club, it's like, I like 2008, like you saw the strip club, like the economy crash, the strip club economy crashes too. Like the internet, the rise of like OnlyFans, the rise of online porn, like that changes the environment of the strip club too.
does, yeah.
Like this is the sex worker rights being the canary in the coal mine for all of the other rights of workers, like rights of women. But the last 20 years, like have been changing the topography of the strip club. Donald Trump getting elected, the rise of authoritarianism that we see now, this did not happen overnight. It has been in the making, honestly, probably since like we removed the gold standard, because that's like trickle down economics. No, like, because then it makes it like no longer a fixed system of money. Like now there's room for infinite growth. Cancer, that's cancer.
Yeah.
That trend of like the clubs, like the dynamic, the environment of the clubs changing, that's got roots years ago. And like, yes, it's manifesting now. It's more obvious now, but like strippers who worked pre-pandemic, during pandemic, post-pandemic have already watched like the economy shift. And like what it is now is not what it was in 2020, is not what it was in 2015, is not what it was in 2010. And I think that that's like, yes, it has changed because of all of the bullshit now, but all of the bullshit now is not now. It's been happening. It's been in the making. Like, we are just now hearing about it. And like, this is where the unlearning and the obligation to relearn and like question what we thought was true and like question what we thought we knew about the world, like is so important. That's where the hyperfixation on nonfiction books comes in. But yeah, that's my take on that question.
It's giving the same energy as like if Kamala were in office, would be at brunch, right?
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't have these issues.
Yeah.
Like, no, we would.
We still would.
The book that I'm currently recommending for everyone is Let This Radicalize You.
Yeah.
I loved that book because it wasn't like, I love just history books too, and I'll read them all the time, but it was like, this isn't brand new. So we have to stop acting like it's brand new. And here's what you can actually do to help.
Exactly.
If you're new to organizing or you want to be a better organizer.
And like,
I love that.
Yes. One of the reasons that reminded me of something I wanted to say earlier and forgot. And I was like, oh, this was a really good point. But like one of the reasons sex workers make such good grassroots organizers is because they are marginalized by every part of society. Like the system does not support a sex worker in any way. So sex workers are not sitting there like trying to fight the system, because that's dumb. The system is working by design. It's working to exploit us. That's on purpose. It's not broken. Like it works how it is meant to. It's meant to exploit us. So sex workers are like, okay, fuck the system. I'm going to create my own systems. I'm going to create my own community. I'm going to rally the resources outside of the system. And I'm going to do that because like, I'm not going to win that battle. Like I'm not going to fight a battle that I'm just going to lose. I'm going to create from scratch. And like we learned that from Black Panther Party. We see that with queer sex workers for centuries. Like that is not new. It's not new. We learn from them. Everything I say, I am echoing the works of Black queer sex workers that came before me. Like Audre Lorde, like bell hooks, like those Black feminist philosophers, like they inspire me. Like they're the OGs. So like all this stuff that we're seeing now, like it's not new. So stop saying it's new. Stop saying this isn't normal. It is normal. Normal doesn't mean good. Normal doesn't mean okay. But like, it's not new. The new part is you're seeing it.
I want to go home and read some bell hooks now.
I love bell hooks. All about love. So Corebound we do an annual book club salon type thing. Last year we read The Ethical Stripper. This year in the winter we'll be reading All About Love by Bell Hooks.
That book.
So
I'll reread it.
Yeah, reread it. Come to the conversation. It's going to be really fun. That'll probably be like a January, February type thing because we need winter book clubs.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm in 4 book clubs.
Especially in Chicago.
I love a book club.
Yeah, it's great.
Always down.
It's great.
All right. Anything else good we want to dive
so
into?
you have like maybe one more like juicy one?
This question is, these two kind of relate to each other. One is like, is it difficult to have an office job and also be a stripper, and like how to protect privacy? And then the next question is like, what makes you keep doing it? Like assuming the pros are better than the cons, but
Yeah, both good ones.
But yeah, they kind of relate to each other. And like I said at the beginning, I've always been like a part-time stripper. And part-time sometimes means I have one other job that's like 2 hours a week. Sometimes part-time means like I'm in the club like once a month. But yeah, it is hard to protect your privacy. You have to be very like mindful, and you can get fired. Like you can and will get fired for people finding out that you are a sex worker. And no one is going to be like people will say all the time, like, can you believe that like so-and-so like didn't get hired because they're a pole dancer? Like, yeah, I can absolutely believe it. It's not surprising to me at all. Like, again, it's not new. Like you are marginal. Like the stigma is not about like being judged. The stigma is about resources being withheld from you. Sometimes that means losing your job. So like when I have no videos of me in the club circa, Honestly, I have like 4 total, which is crazy for the years and years of dancing. But it's because I didn't want to jeopardize. I did not want to put myself in a position where like I could lose my job, where I could like be, because in the Navy, it's like if they found out, like court martial, fucking kicked out, fucking jail, I don't know, whatever way they want to punish me for that kind of behavior. But it's like, you know, the behavior being like self-respect. But it's like you can't, there's no true way to like protect yourself and to be like, especially if you're in your hometown, like people can find out. Like I like the club because it feels more anonymous. Online sex work sometimes people feel safer with because it's like you're in your home, but it's also like more public. So that's kind of always been my barrier with online sex work. And I know I've missed out on a lot of money by not having like an OnlyFans and by not having like a way to keep in contact with people. And I know I've missed out on a way to like build a lot of regulars by doing that. But it's like, for me, my safety is important and my privacy is important. And like the people who know these things about me, and like it's becoming more public now, but I'm also more well insulated now. So it's okay. But that was not the case 2 years ago. That was not the case 5 years ago. So yeah, it is hard to do both. It is, you're jeopardizing a lot. Like the risks are high. Like everything that you get in a corporate job, like be prepared to lose it. And like that's one of the dark sides of sex work is like, are you willing to say goodbye to everything that you know? And like, are you willing to have your life like turn upside down? Because if not, it's not the place for you. I needed that. I wanted that. I was like in desperate desire for that to happen. So for me, it was like, this is the obvious right choice. Yeah. But why do I keep doing it? I feel like I said this earlier, but whenever I'm struggling with my self-esteem or when I'm struggling with like, I don't know, if I'm not like standing in my, like if I don't stand confident, if I don't know who I am, if I don't know what I'm selling, if I don't walk in there with like your energy is your money, if I have bad energy, like I'm not making money. And like knowing that like really forces me to get my shit together and like get my energy in check. Take care of my body, like put on my prettiest girl in the world outfit and like go in there and be like, I'm here to get this bag. Like I release all limiting beliefs. I release all scarcity mindset. I release all of the people who are saying that there is no money to be made in this place. And I walk in here with like the clearest head and the best energy and like the belief in myself that I can do it. And then like some nights are better than others. Like it's definitely feast famine. And like I've learned from a lot of old pros. Like I've invested in training. I've had a lot of good mentors, which is not the case for everybody, but it is helpful. And I'm always down to like role play with people who are like, I don't know what to say. I will role play with you. Absolutely. But it's like, I don't know. I keep going back to it because it slingshots me through eras of my life where I need a little spring.
And I feel like that's the opposite of what a lot of people think.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not that way for everybody.
Right.
Sometimes people go and they try it and it's such an awful experience that it like tanks their mental health, tanks their physical. Like sometimes people go to the strip club one night and it's like, oh my God, I'm not cut out for this. Like sometimes people can't even get hired and like the rejection of not getting hired like really triggers like deeply rooted racism, fat phobia, whorephobia, like transphobia. Like there's a lot of things that can come up from like walking into even audition. And that's where I say like things I will not experience in my body. Like those are things that I will not experience in the same way as other people. That makes my experience different. But like I am overtly aware of my privilege and I am every day working to unearth the ways that I am privileged that I cannot see. That's like a journey that I will be on my whole life as a white person.
I mean, same with us, right?
Yeah,
Same with all of
every
us
white
sitting here.
person.
Correct. And it's okay. Like unlearning is hard, but it's important. And like intelligence is how you adapt in the presence of new information. So like if you get new information about like, I'm privileged in this way, okay, well, how can I use this privilege to further my community, to further the efforts? Like, how can I take the privileges that I'm always like looking for the balance between my privileged identities and my marginalized identities. And I'm like, okay, how can I like balance them out? And I'm not going to go to a place like the military and expect them to accommodate my marginalized identities. I'm going to withhold that side of myself in that environment. But then I'm also going to like find and seek out places that will support and hold me through that identity, like places that are sex positive, places that will accept me for being queer, like places that will hold me in my marginalized identities. That's where I'm going to invest. And like, yes, you have to, like your stripper name is not just a name. It's like a different persona. Like it's part of the we. Like I am many. Like I am many. I contain multitudes. Like I know that's a meme on the internet, but it is true. It's like, okay, I am this person. I'm also this person. And like to some people, I am a human that does not exist to other people. And like that's part of it. And if you're not like cut out for that, or if you're someone who like needs to be validated in your identities by every space you inhabit, then sex work is probably not for you.
Period.
Dude, yeah.
That was like so well said. I have nothing to say in response.
Just mesmerized.
I'm like, yes, there's so many golden nuggets in this episode.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that because
Absolutely.
those questions were obviously personal for your experience with sex work, but I think so many people are just going to find value in
Yeah.
the way you're able to openly talk about it and share your experience.
And I love to observe. Like I learned so much. I am like, how can I learn from other people so I don't have to make that mistake? So like I just take everything in and I just am like witnessing and like people will talk about white girl nights at the club and I see it. I'm like, yeah, I know I'm making my bag tonight because it's a white girl night at the club. Sucks. Hate it. But like that's the reality. So I'm going to take all the money that I can and invest in organizations like Black Stripper Brigade because using my privilege to help people who don't have those like options, you know, like that. I want to facilitate like the whole community rising, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
You're an
hopefully-
organizer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and hopefully this episode like reaches so many people and spreads the conversation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much for
Thank you.
being with us these past 2 episodes. It's been such a great little series that we did. Pelvic Freaks, like drop in the comments if you learned anything. And
Which means drop in the comments because I know you learned something.
yeah, like seriously, if we learned something, so you must have too. Well, Roxy, we have a little segment that we do on this podcast, and it's called Here's the Thing.
Yeah.
And it's where we take a hot take from the episode
Yeah.
and we say our favorite hot take. Here's the thing. If this episode challenged you, that's the point. I said this in episode 1. Sex work deserves the same respect as any kind of work. That's my here's the thing.
Here's the thing. Oh, I have 2. So I'll start. Here's the thing. Sex workers are just professional, hot, cool people. That's it.
I freaking love that.
Hot, cool
Period.
people. But also, here's the thing. If your feminism does not include sex workers, it's not feminism.
Dude,
You need to reevaluate.
Noted from that, like at the beginning, I'm so happy you brought that back around.
Yeah, that's the takeaway. If your activism doesn't include sex work, it's not the activism you think it is.
Love that. Okay, here's the thing. Start with the community around you.
Yes.
Rather than looking on social media at all these things you're not doing, start with the people that are directly in your life that you can help and impact.
Correct. Because it makes a difference, y'all. I took so much food to the food. Like, I took so many food donations today. I took like 20 bags of like donations from the clothing swap to support people affected by ICE and to support people. Like, I took them to a women's shelter. Some donations went to an encampment. Like, the stuff that happened at the clothing swap, like, that was like you participating in community support, like in mutual aid. Like that is the other side of the free food at the food pantry. Like, it's working, you know?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here, Roxy. This has like truly been a pleasure. Like Hannah said, I can't really repeat it any other way because it's just been amazing. You can come back literally anytime, by the way.
I really loved being here. This
Yeah.
was such a meaningful experience for me. Thank you
I'm
for
so happy that you're a pelvic freak just like us.
Yeah,
Yes, Pelvic Freaks Unite.
I am a freak for your pelvis. I am.
If people missed it in the first episode, where can they find you and support you?
Yes, find me on Instagram at Roxxie's Rebellion, Roxxie's ROXIES _rebellion, or at Corebound Pilates, Corebound _ Pilates.
Yes, guys. And we've dropped a lot of resources throughout this episode and the previous episode. So we'll be sure to link them in both show notes. I'll definitely like get a little list going for you. I think one other resource that we wanted to mention was the Sex Worker Outreach Project. Did you want to
Yes.
mention a little bit something about that before we close out?
Yeah, SWAP. They have a Chicago chapter. So if you're local to Chicago, look up SWAP Chicago. They're always looking for volunteers. They're always looking for donations. They always have events going on. Strippers Unite is another good one. And then there's a couple local organizations, Black Stripper Brigade and Healing and Movement. I will link those as well for you guys.
Heck yeah, guys. And if you're a practitioner listening to this, I feel like one of my best advice for you is just like, get out there, talk to sex workers, get into those spaces. So
Pole class.
take a pole class, all right? Get comfortable, like examine those biases. You can do it.
You can do it. All right, Roxy, would you like to close us out?
Yeah. Bye, pelvic freaks.
Bye, Pelvic
Bye, pelvic
Freaks.
freaks.